speaking Chinese word can mean different things based on how you pronounce it. Let's say the word ma, for example. That means horse. But if you take that same word and give it a little bit of say it like this, ma! That means to scold. And mama, well, that means mom. But if we were to take all those words, put it together, it sounds something like this. Well, mama the ma. I scolded my mother's horse. A lesson to speak with conviction or else not speak at all. This language is as much a dance of the tongue as it is a painting on page. Sentence structure goes as follows. The subject, then the setting, followed by the verb and object. 我今天从战争开始找家园. I, today from war, start to find home. There's an emphasis for the speaker to know when and where they are before they announce where they are going. A lesson on being grounded, on knowing your roots, on forgiving your history to allow space for the future. In an effort to teach me her past, my mother would not let me eat until I could ask for dinner in her native tongue. Even when I was like, "But mommy, I'm so hungry," she replied, "哎，我听不懂啊，你应该学中文." Can't understand you. Maybe you should learn Chinese. Her way of saying, "See, child born of our sacrifices. This is how it feels to be us, to pack a lineage in 2 suitcases and gather our last names with the ocean, only to starve at the shoreline. Getting by with what she's got is all she's ever known, which was why I was the only English tutor my mother could afford. Since the age I could speak, I would finish my homework early so I could teach her what I just learned in class. And truth be told, I was not the best teacher, but neither does the colonizer's language make the most sense. See, English is composed of 26 letters, a really crappy grammar system, and Americans still have trouble, I swear to God. There, and there. Example, there are many times when they're taking what isn't theirs, like my mother's voice, like my heritage, like our culture forged into tattoos. See, in English, a word means different things based on context. The word immigrant from Europe means citizen, from anywhere else means illegal or a virus. See, it's not that English is so difficult to understand. It's that my mother refuses to be a victim. That Chinese is considered the hardest living language to learn. So when my mother is speaking English, she is downgrading a dynasty into a coffee shop for your convenience. She takes colonialism and starts to stutter a syllabus for survival, her tongue breaking itself to impersonate America. When you hear her accent, you better thank her for trying. Just last week, my mother and I were watching a Chinese film with no subtitles. I didn't need to fully understand the dialogue to know that my mother was happy. That to her, Jackie Chan was the heartthrob that sounded like home and looked like a snack, like a home-cooked meal she didn't have to make herself, like Big Brother made it in America too, Mommy, and so can we. To anyone who has ever told my mother to learn English, check the statistics. Chinese is the most spoken language in the world. Don't well.
So, my friend asked, Alex, why do you always gotta be so extra? To which I respond, what you mean? Are you talking about that one time I harassed my friends as a drunk Chinese uncle? Or are you talking about the other time I changed into gym clothes trying to get back into a club I just got kicked out of?
What are you talking about? I just got here.
Or is it how loud I can cheer my homies at an open mic?
Yo, that's my best friend!
Or is it how I know how to drop these mooncakes, to the ground with both shoes off? Watch how this panda express himself on the dance floor. See, this the kind of Chinese you take out for a family gathering. But I be anything but cheap or convenient. To be this loud and this proud took work. Took years to finally find myself and months to broadcast my discovery. So yes, every sunrise be my debut, and each debut a shuttle launch, a revolution in surround sound. My voice be loud enough to break the silence my people had suffered through. Taught that our job options would only ever be behind closed doors and never the big screen. But now, y'all, I am the next big thing. Y'all better call me Asian Khaleesi.
Before season 8.
Alexander John of House Liu, first king and queen of dynasties, the breaker of railroad tracks, the origin of dragons, and proof of my mother's victory, her gift to an empty home. I was born a year after my grandfather's death. My chubby, toothless smile was the reincarnation of the joy he left behind. See, oh God, yeah, I was such a fat kid. My family called me Baby Buddha. Partly because of my weight, mainly because of the faith they had in me. My laughter embodied the better life they had been fighting for. I have been bench pressing my family's happiness since birth. Damned I be if I let my depression arm wrestle a generation from smiling again. Because someone said my poetry saved this life. Another said my jokes made her day that much more bearable. I am the class clown teaching a lesson on survival. So forget a half-empty glass of water. I've cried too many tears that my cup runneth over. My poetry spilling an ocean of revelations where every good day is celebration and every bad day a disaster. I will turn into a funny story sometimes, and some days I'll be acting extra foolish, just as a reminder of what it is to be alive.
Oh, excuse me. I don't mean to be rude, but you look just like my Taekwondo instructor.
Oh, you know what? Like a thick Bruce Lee.
Well, oh, wait, hold on there now, son. Now, look, I got this friend, right? And you look just like her boy.
You really love like a student of education. You gotta tell me how this is sweet.
People swear they've seen me before. In a train once. Or the man they should have loved long ago. That one was weird. Or the best friend they lost at war. That one was sad. So when my grandma tells me I look just like my grandfather, our conversation starts to feel like a bad joke. Like, what would she give to take back his heart attack, only to have her heart break at the sight of me? Like the universe said, well, this is what you prayed for. And suddenly, my hugs become Grandpa's phantom limbs. And I wonder if it is a curse to be reborn in the face of my ancestors. Reminder of the once lost. My smile looks like an old wound. The cut I reopen every time I smile wide. To be the offspring of immigrants is even happiness is a privilege. And my depression says, I am loved only for my potential to become someone else they already look up to. And most days, I'm not worthy of a refugee's reflection. But on my 18th birthday, Bubby gave me one of Grandpa's leather jackets, whose sleeves I still can't fill. But he insists I keep it anyways. He tells me a gong used to wear this. He used to look so cool. And on days I feel I don't deserve every good thing that comes, I remember why I cannot die. Memories I have not lived are attached to my smile. I am still the reason Dad did not join Grandpa that night. He is still fighting for the man I will become. If I am my grandfather's reincarnation, I promise Grandma I won't be leaving soon. I will not die. I cannot die. Every day I am alive, I'm reminded I look like someone else is living for. And I am surviving for the day I can respond, yeah, I see the resemblance. And damn, I look good. Smiling bright like a new day. 'Cause don't I look like an encore? Don't I look like a second chance? Don't I look like Grandpa never left? He just left me in charge.
Con hướng về tán dương công đức tính chuyên đạo nghiệm vun trồng.
Son, I remember when you told me, Ba, I want to be just like you when I grow up. I gave a nervous chuckle. I cupped your hands in mine and looked you in the eyes. But before I could confess, I saw the pride in those pupils. So I hinged my lips back in place just to bask in your smile a little longer, son. I don't think you understand what it's like to be me. Don't think you can understand the immigration pains embedded in these scars. Don't know if you can comprehend how 16-hour work days, 7 days a week, can really take its toll on a man's heart. Yet how sick days meant extinction. You don't know the affliction of waking up. Grateful to be alive, but afraid to keep living. Yet I have no time for emotions. I reminded you that crying was unmanly because my tears would have drowned the family before the fishing boats would. But see, this world is too cruel and too relentless. Will not lend its ears to our sacrifices. I come home from work every night having been called Bob more than father, being confused Chinese for cheek. But see, we Asians didn't know enough English to speak back, so we let our bodies, sign language, our submission. We kept our mouths shut, our chins down, faked a smile in the face of authority. It's no wonder why America teaches us that we're the model minority. But son, I did not bring you here to end up like me. You are too young to be your old man, and I will not allow you to pledge allegiance to the anthem of insults as I was forced to. My footsteps were never meant to be followed. They were meant to pave the road so your feet would never touch gravel. So please, stop stepping in my shoes. I bought you brand new Nikes for a reason. I brought you here for a reason. So inherit my longings for a better life. Take my native tongue and speak with firecrackers in your throat and a dynasty in your walk. Keep the solstice in your eyes and grow jade for bones. Be as self-aware as you are stubborn, strict as you are supportive. Be everything I wanted but could not be. Son, I am sorry. I'm sorry I won't be alive to teach you all these things in person, for making you a man sooner than you should be. But my son, you are a strong boy, and our family is a proud family. And there is a story in your smallpox scar and history in your blood. Men will try to cut you out of society, demand you go back to a broken country I've bled to bring you out of. They don't know the sacrifices. It is your job to remind them. When I write, I fight with the pen. I stem from a long line of silent men who spoke with their fists and pain in their bones. Writing my stories in stone is the quietest way I know to be loud. To hold history in foreign lungs, breathing the breath of broken tongues. I am the sum of every hour of sleep my father lost to keep food on the plate. But beyond it all, I am here. And I survived these few years of uncertainty, this limbo state, this too young to be a man or too man to stay a child. See, finding myself has been the hardest scavenger hunt I've ever played. Nowadays, my eyes get heavy, trying to carry a luggage full of my family's hopes and dreams. It's the kind of weight my father's familiar with. He does not know it is something to be proud of or scared for, but I remind him that beyond it all, I am here. As an ode to my mother and father, ode to the people who brought me here, now to the present moment, ready to hear my voice, who's hoisted me as a leader with no game plan but the guides I have around me, with the privilege of a stage as witness to a path I pave for myself and a home I make for my peers. I tell them, hey y'all, I don't have much, but I have ears as open as these arms, ready to embrace a stranger and call them friend. Like all my friends, brothers, sisters, homies, I try to pronounce their full name, no matter the language of origin. I tell them I love them, that they are important, because I remember a time where I didn't hear that enough. I remember feeling like I was never enough. A father telling me to never speak up, a partner telling me that I'd never be loved. But you know what? Beyond it all, I am here. And remember the conversations that saved me, the mentors that spoke purpose into my soul, so I hold their lessons in every page of my poems. I've learned to spit truth with a flick of a tongue. I teach my friends to enjoy each heave of the lungs, our eyes, each a piece of the sun. If you'd only see where we're from, oh my God, you'd be surprised. But what you'd see us become be the reason why people start to drop jaws, watch haters play hopscotch while you run the marathon, make them press pause and rewind, trying to find what you did right. Remind your peers that they are not a lost cause, because you are not a lost cause. You are the symphony of an ocean, the music of a movement in motion, and you can make this moment last a lifetime. This world did not know what it was in for when it birthed you from this earth. You should know what you're worth. I tell this to my friends. I tell this to my friends. I tell this to all my friends. I tell them. I climbed a mountain once. Discovered how easy it was to let go and let the pavement catch my fall. I tell them that I survived that day. And my poems paint the portrait of a boy who lived, who is alive, to tell a story of family trauma and friendly joy, of a world still trying to understand his identity. I tell them that I survived. And beyond it all, I am here. Beyond it all, I am here. Beyond it all, I am here. We are still here. So in China, there's this dessert called yanguo, a cold soup made from melted birds' nests collected from deep inside caves. After they've been cleaned and cooked, the nests taste as sweet as it is medicinal, and my culture believes that the soup it makes can heal anything, from a cold to a cancer. Side note, these particular birds make the entire nest from their own solidified saliva. Meaning, someone right now in China, or my mother at home, is scooping a mouthful of repurposed bird loogie for a sick child to swallow superstition into recovery. Ain't that a fitting description for poetry? This art form that saves lives and promotes growth, but no one knows except those who've lived long enough to thank the author that saved them. See, I remember a time when I was so lost, I almost confused a dead end for a fresh start. So I dared the kitchen knife to carve a finish line into my wrist until my poetry coach dug deep into the cave of my depression, found me covered in my own saliva and tears, told me I was not a failed mission, told me that I could channel my survival into something that feeds someone who needs to hear what I have to say. So now I literally spit a poem and heal a crowd. My tribulations repurposed with responsibility to stage. I step on a plate of what I have to offer. I slobber soliloquies of survival. I drool depression into honeydew. I know how the sweetness comes from a bitter past, so I humbly accept the morning sun with both hands. Like every day that I am alive is a prayer I answered for myself, and a night spent crying was just vocal practice for finding my voice. And my father is always losing his. There's some nights he gets so angry he couldn't speak. So I learned his presence by the things he'd break, for the voice he'd crack, trying to teach me how to survive. When I didn't listen, I'd yell back at him louder and louder and louder until I too became a spitting image of his trauma. And this is as close to getting to know my father as I will ever get. To be an immigrant in America is to be a caged bird singing swan songs in broken English. But how grateful am I to turn my blood into blessings, to tread the wings of my ancestors' scars like moments before a hug. Each feather plucked from my body leaves enough blood, sweat, and saliva to write my next poem, to lick my wounds and live another day. I survived to tell my story and the story of those before me. I remember watching the 2008 Summer Olympics on TV, when China was given the bid to host the Olympics in Beijing. They designed a stadium in the shape and structure of the bird's nest used for Yanwo. And for an entire month, the bird's nest stadium hosted world peace in its belly, where every country chose a carnival over carnage. And I wonder, if a swallow flew from its nest, turned its head towards the mainland, would it recognize the temple it inspired from its own spit?
The number 4, or 4, is considered the unluckiest number in Chinese because it sounds similar to the way we say death.
But when you first said, "I love you," even death became a concept I no longer believed in. And love is a concept my mother does not believe in unless money is involved. But we never search each other's pockets for safety. And yet I swear,
I could feel the future
when I first held your hands, walking down Main Street, 4 of your fingers wrapped with 4 of mine, our palms sealed in prayer, locked in 8 places. Number 8 in Chinese is pronounced ba. It's considered the luckiest number because it sounds similar to the way we say good fortune. So, in a way, adding 2 negatives do create prosperity, and I am sorry. I'm sorry for the times I've gripped too hard, fear of the good luck we might feel if we ever let go. And see, I was never this superstitious until I discovered the map to finding myself was really a circle. And doesn't the symbol for infinity look like wedding rings, holding hands, walking down Main Street, or the number 8 laying down? Tired of being defined by value. And baby, aren't we tired of being defined by value? Perhaps infinity is just good fortune that became something that lasts forever, and being with you is timeless. Maybe God created love as first metaphor for eternity. Our bodies, double entendre for the everlasting. See, as a kid, I used to imagine that the heartbeat was caused by an angel trying to pound its way out the organ, and their dying breath would unlock the cage for it to reach heaven.
Maybe that's why our first kiss.
Or crap like exercise was the closest that angels and me could taste freedom. Maybe that's why our first argument, or the darkest moments of my depression, were the closest the demons in me could taste freedom. I'm wondering whose heart you broke out of to find me. Sometimes I question if I was worth the escape. Do you remember a night we both raised our voices like alarm clocks? We screamed so loud.
I swear I heard the hourglass break.
I watched the expiration date fall from your eyes, and I promised that would be the last time I ever let my ego trip us out of love. So I wrote my apology in a thank you note and called that my first love poem. And you would smile like a second chance, like a reminder of how good fortune must be earned, baby. You remember the night we both fell asleep on the video call? I left the computer screen on so bright, it felt like heaven. Your breath sounded like the ambiance of angels humming my welcome home. I thought I died in my slumber.
When I woke to find you
Still sleeping, with a smile on your face, I swear to God, you are as beautiful as the last thing I will ever see.
At my funeral,
I want you to drive me there, in the back seat of my first car, my dented Scion TC, which has memories of heated passion and heartbreak stitched in its seating. The pumpkin carriage of all the times I've lost and found love. The irony that outlived my fantasy of suicide by car accident. But in this reality, my depression dies by celebration of families dancing in my name to the songs of G. Amazawa and Chance the Rapper. At my funeral, I want to be cremated by fireworks, lit by incense that was lit by a barbecue grill. No one gets to cry or laugh or heal until their bellies are filled with beer and food, and the only people that are allowed to cook are the ones who can, and also the ones whose favorite memory I know by heart. May their energy replenish you the way they had for me. My best friends have always been my mentors, or anyone I've ever looked up to, meaning heaven is a high school reunion, and my funeral is just a pregame where everyone's host to my dying will, the last poem I will have ever written. Even in death, I want to announce what more I can offer the world. At my funeral, my first child will collect my ashes in an hourglass. Infinity is how my body pours into itself to measure time. I want to remain proof that we too